from silos to synergy. So how ServiceNow CWM unites teams for faster outcomes. My name is Manuel Brugger, and I'm happy to basically lead you through the webinar today. Before we go into the speaker overview, just a very short and brief overview over the agenda. I'm happy to have two people with me today from ServiceNow who will also introduce themselves in a second. After that, I'm happy that Sankadeep is leading us through collaborative work management, what it actually means to have all work in one place. Then we will do a short demonstration to go through some typical use cases we see in CWM. And as mentioned already, we will have some Q&A and hopefully some questions from you as an audience. Yeah. So whenever you want to raise something, please use the Q&A box. We're happy to answer you all the questions you have during the session today. As mentioned, I'm not alone today, so I'm really happy that I have Sankadeep and Volker from ServiceNow. Sankadeep, you will anyhow, I think, also introduce yourself as soon as you go through your slides. Maybe Volker, a few words from your side.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Volker Unch. I'm a solution consultant for collaborative work management, which is part of the portfolio management solution offering in ServiceNow, supporting the sales teams and the account teams from a technical perspective in pre-sales situations. Happy to be on this webinar.
Thanks, Volker, for supporting us today. Yeah, and my name is Manuel Brugger. I'm one of the founder managing partner of Advice, and I'm happy to guide you through the live demonstration today. And before we do that, Sankadeep, I hand over to you. Please have a short intro and take over the stage.
Sure. Thank you, Manuel. And good morning, everyone. And by the way, Manuel, could you make me a presenter once again? I seem to have lost that access. Yeah.
There you are.
Perfect. Thank you. You should be able to see my screen. So yeah, today we will be talking about collaborative work management. But before we do that, just a few seconds talking about our safe harbor notice. There might be a few instances where I would mention about, like what the future looks like, what are some of the future capabilities that we are working through. So that's the reason why I brought this safe harbor notice. So for my introduction, well, my name is Sankadeep. I'm based out of the Netherlands, been in the industry for many, many years, part of the outbound product management team, part of our portfolio management business unit. And by the way, I'm active on LinkedIn. I post quite a lot of blogs related to strategic portfolio management, enterprise architecture, and CWM. So if you want to read some of my blogs, well, go ahead and connect with me. I'll be happy to share those with you as well. So the agenda today is very simple. We are just going to talk about collaborative work management for a couple of minutes. And these are some of the main things which we'll talk about. And then I will hand it over to Manuel once again to walk you through a very exciting live demonstration. Okay. All right. So let me start with a question. So think about how work actually gets done in your organization and how many tools are your teams using today just to collaborate on a single initiative. And if you're like most enterprises we talk to, the answer is actually too many. So here's the reality. ServiceNow already manages a significant amount of structured work, your projects, demands, goals, incidents, your workflows. However, there's a tip of the iceberg, the work that's actually visible, governed, and tracked. But below the waterline, that's where the real day-to-day collaboration actually happens. So teams, maybe they are bouncing between task lists, Kanban boards, shared documentation, spreadsheets, maybe multiple sprint planning tools even. And most of it is outside the ServiceNow platform. And maybe it's some existing work management tool today, or maybe it's just a spreadsheet someone emails around every Friday evening. The problem isn't that those tools don't work. The problem is that they are disconnected. And there is no link between the task someone is working on in a spreadsheet and the strategic goals it is supposed to support. So there is no visibility for leadership and there is no governance. So the question becomes, what if we could surface all of that underwater collaboration onto the platform? And that's exactly what we have done. So we have created a collaboration layer that sits across all these different domain solutions. So it brings the task list, the Kanban boards, the documentation, the spreadsheets, the sprint planning, all of it onto the ServiceNow platform. And it does not replace your existing ServiceNow solutions. It is actually the connecting tissue between them. So your projects, demands, goals, your incidents, your stories, they are all still there. But now the day-to-day teamwork that makes those things actually happen, that's on the same platform too. So that's essentially the power of the platform. So think about this as a single system where daily execution and enterprise strategy move forward together. Okay. So let me show you how it would actually look like in practice. So CWM is a central hub for your knowledge workers to basically to plan, to visualize, and collaborate on the work with their teams, all within ServiceNow. So let me walk you through what this actually look like. Imagine Nikki here is planning a company hackathon. So first, she creates a shared space. Okay. Think of it as a workspace she can invite her team into with granular access control. And she doesn't need an admin to set this up. She does it herself. Inside that space, she manages tasks with custom fields, with automations and templates. She can see everything assigned to her across all her boards in a single My Work dashboard. And she can align her work to strategic goals and portfolios. So leadership has visibility into how this initiative connects to the bigger picture. And she can collaboratively edit documents right within CWM. So with Now Assist support for drafting and summarization, there is no need to switch to Google Docs or Confluence. Now, CWM isn't just built for one kind of user. So let me walk you through a couple of examples. So this is actually purpose built for your teams on the ServiceNow platform. And chances are that all of these different teams are already there in your organization and they're actually already using ServiceNow. So the first kind is your SPM team members. So these are the people doing the actual project work. They know the strategy exists somewhere, but their day-to-day is fragmented across tools and maybe they have no connection to it today. So CWM bridges that gap. So teams, they work flexibly while leaders get the visibility they need. The second kind is your IT knowledge worker. So the infra engineers, the security analysts, the DBAs, and maybe today these folks are juggling tickets across 5 different queues and have no single place to see what actually matters most right now. So CWM gives them the single pane of glass. And then the group, most people, sometimes we don't think about. So these are your business users, your HR coordinators, your field technicians. So maybe today they are running on emails and spreadsheets because nobody has ever built them a proper workspace. So CWM changes all of that. So same platform, different problems, but one single solution, but still purpose built for them. So let me show you how it all connects to the enterprise. So at the top, you have your strategic portfolio management group, right? Your strategic governance layer. So this is where your C-suite, your line of business owners, your managers, your release train engineers, PMOs, they live. And they are working with stories, projects, initiatives, demands, goals. They need visibility into the progress of work, how the goal cascades, and the ability to scale agile workflows. At the bottom, you have your teams, the execution layer. That's the collaborative work management layer. So that's where your agile teams, your hybrid teams, your SPM teams, your business users, they actually do the work. So they have tasks, they have documentations, they have automations, they have my work views, Gantt charts, Kanban boards, sprint planning, all within at their fingertips. So the critical insight here is the connection between these two layers. So the work flows down from your strategic goals from the top layer into your CWM boards, into your bottom execution there. And visibility flows back up to leadership. And CWM can also pull in work from anywhere on the platform. It can be your incidents, changes, and more. So teams, they have a complete picture of everything that they need to deliver, not just the planned work. So this is what CWM fundamentally differs from standalone collaboration tools. So those tools are islands. CWM is natively connected to the enterprise platform, which is ServiceNow in your case. And the key takeaway from this slide is that CWM enables your flexible work for teams and also end-to-end visibility for the enterprise. Okay. Now, let me walk you through two quick 3 points. So CWM is built around 3 pillars. So unite, simplify, and empower. And all of these powered by the AI agents on the ServiceNow AI platform. So Unite brings your cross-functional teams onto a single tool aligned to a shared vision. Simplify connects your tasks, your docs to everything else in ServiceNow under one data model. And Empower lets teams work the way they want without waiting on anyone. So let me walk you through on each of these one for some further details. So let's start with Unite. So the first thing CWM gives you is the ability to unify teams and work to get more done. So teams, they can create collaborative spaces where they invite colleagues, they control access and organize tasks and documents in one place. So there is no admin help required. You can establish uniform practices with customizable templates and save time getting new work streams off the ground. And the result is fewer tools, faster onboarding, and cross-functional collaboration that actually stays organized. The second dimension of Unite is the connection to strategy. And this is where CWM meets strategic portfolio management. So you can align your CWM work to enterprise goals, which are in SPM, to improve employee engagement and purpose. And CWM boards can be incorporated directly into SPM roadmaps and prioritization views. And agile planning synchronizes at all levels of the enterprise, and you get a real-time visibility into your progress of work. So let's move into the second element, which is simplify. And it's about one thing: stop making people hunt across systems for their work. So CWM lets you pull any kind of or any type of work. So incidents, stories, change requests into one single board. So you define the condition as a user, and there is no admin required to set this up. And once it's there, you can switch between list, Kanban, Gantt, or sprint planning, and Manuel will show you all of these in the live demonstration. So it's the same data, but with different lenses. So, and every person, they get a personal My Work dashboard showing everything which is assigned to them across the platform. And documents, they live right across the task. So no context and action. So context and action, they're always in the same place. So one workspace, full picture. So that's basically simplify. Now empower. And to be honest, I think this is the most important bit that every organization really needs to pay a lot of attention to. So this is all about removing the bottleneck that kills adoption in most enterprise tools, which is the dependency on admins. So with CWM, a data center team like this one that you're seeing on the screen, they can set up their own board. They can define their own columns, add custom fields, and organize work their way. So there is no admin ticket required. There is no 2-3 weeks time for the admins or the developers to deliver something. And when they are ready to go agile, sprint planning is built right in. So you see it in the screenshot, right? So the backlog, the sprints, the capacity tracking, it's all there. So the teams, they drag items into sprints and they basically just start delivering. And this is why CWM gets adopted voluntarily. And I will share a few customer examples. So when you give people flexibility without the hassle, they actually start using it. So this is one big takeaway that I would want you to take out of this session. The second dimension of Empower is the efficiency. So this is where automation and AI comes in. So CWM lets you automate repetitive tasks to reduce manual effort. So you can set up triggers for your updates, your notifications, and workflows based on the task fields and dates. Again, no admin required for this. So this ensures important due dates are met and that nothing falls through the cracks. And this is where it also gets exciting with Now Assist and AI. And here's a good example. So you can transform your meeting notes into actionable tasks automatically. You can write or copy your meeting notes in CWM documents, and we have a couple of things in our roadmap to make this more automated. And Now Assist will generate tasks from this docs. Literally, I have used it, and internally we use CWM quite a bit, and this works like a charm. So you can instantly also summarize very long documents to reduce the time spent reading. So that's the what, right? So these are all the capabilities. So let me also show you behind the scene and what's the momentum behind this product as well. So CWM, it has seen an incredible innovation trajectory. We launched it in early 2024, and we have delivered quite a number of major innovations across a number of releases. What I want you to take away from this slide is not the details, it's the trajectory. So major innovations across a number of family and store releases. So the team behind Collaborative Work Management, this team ships all of these innovations, and they ship it fast. And the direction for the product is clear. Every recent release is AI forward. For example, in Zurich, we brought Now Assist into CWM with the task generation from docs and also the summarization. The last store release, we added acceptance criteria generation. And in Australia, we just landed. We are delivering formula generation. It's a different kind of custom column that you can create. You can generate those formulas using AI, and also Scrum task generation powered by Now Assist. And Brazil is already on the horizon. So the pace is accelerating, and AI is the center of all of these every iteration. Now, two items in the next releases, which you will also see that I'm genuinely excited about, are one, the ability to import tasks using AI lens, and the connection between Project Workspace and Collaborative Work Management. There are a lot more, and if you are at Knowledge, come to our portfolio management booth, and we will walk you through the details of what's coming in the roadmap. So bottom line, pace is accelerating, and this product is getting better with every release. Now, so much of the details, let's spend maybe a couple of minutes talking about how our customers actually use Collaborative Work Management. Now, the big item that I want you to pay attention to is CWM is voluntarily adopted. Let me repeat that, voluntarily. Time to value, it is literally can be as small as one single day. Customers are going live with CWM literally in one single day. So not weeks, not months, days. Now, the first customer story that I want to talk about is one of Europe's largest online fashion retailers. They did a competitive takeout of their previous collaboration tool, and they moved to CWM. And their feedback is that users love that they can see everything on one single pane of glass. The second one is it is literally the best known hockey league in the world. They replaced their arena operations tool with CWM. And their team told us it's game changing. So on any given day, they were bouncing between 10 different workspaces. Now it's just one. And one of the US city government, they implemented CWM overnight in the middle of a cyber attack to coordinate the restoration of critical services. So that's literally the kind of agility this tool enables. And across all standalone CWM customers, we are seeing some great, amazing adoption. So hopefully after this session, you would also see it across your organization as well. Now, I want you to, pay some attention to these use cases, not through the details of these use cases. You can see and view it later on, but I want you to pay some attention to the breadth. So CWM is not just an IT tool. Yes, IT operations is a natural fit, like managing work across incident and changes in one place. But look at what else is happening. For example, risk and compliance, the second column. These are the teams who are coordinating audit responses using CWM. Our marketing team is planning campaigns and go-to-market launches. HR is tracking contract renewals. And we even have teams using CWM for mergers and acquisition planning because it also allows restricted access spaces as well. So the pattern across all of these customers, across all of these use cases is the same everywhere. Teams that need to collaborate across boundaries, move fast and stay organized, they need CWM so that they can do so without waiting for IT to build something for them. So the last bit that I want to talk about is I want to leave with one question. So how will you use CWM? So whether it's bringing your IT operations work together in one place or giving your project teams a flexible collaboration hub or connecting strategic planning to actual execution, CWM can get you there literally in a day. So I would love to hear, like what resonates with you and maybe what challenges, maybe put it on the chat and let's keep the conversation lively. So over to you, Manuel, for the next part.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, and I'm picking it over. So thanks for the introduction, and I'm really happy that I have the pleasure and the honor to actually guide you a little bit through what Sankadeep also mentioned that could be set up in one day. I will definitely agree with that, because what we see is as soon as you have the users enabled, the rest is literally learning by doing. And besides what we also have seen with customer from an interest perspective, it's really gives you a new flexibility in the way how you structure your own work. The first thing when you see is when you open the workspace, and we have here a dedicated workspace for the collaborative work management. So this is important as a starting point, is that you basically only have these two sections. The one section really focusing on your quick access with your work, giving you an overview over all the tasks you're assigned to. And this is important because historically, if we've been working with customers, we always had to build dashboards or try to filter or whatever to bring all the different work items from all the different, let's say, applications that we see on the ServiceNow platform together. Within here, you immediately have a list of all sort of tasks that somewhere are assigned to you. Could be user story, of course, naturally in SPM, could be project tasks, could also be tasks from collaborative work management itself. But you also see that we have cases, we have contact tasks, with change requests, with demands. So it's really a one-stop shop when you start looking at everything you have to fulfill. It's not anymore going through different lists, going through different workspaces. It's the one place where you can start with. And this is a game changer in that sense, because you can easily filter based on the date, based on the priority. You can here start your daily work with just an overview. Okay, I today want to only start with all the critical tasks. Yeah, you can then start prioritizing. And this is irrespective of whether it's an incident, whether it's a case, whether it's something from risk management, whether it's a project task. And from our opinion, this is really giving you the flexibility to work the items based on your pace, but also giving the priority that they actually have and they are adhered to. And I do definitely see that having one list, irrespective of where it's coming from, could be a game changer in a critical incident like a cyber attack. The other thing is that out of that, we can immediately start going and creating new spaces, new boards, new documents. I will not go through every detail today because that will just fill up too much space, and I'm happy to elaborate more on that in a separate session if you're interested in that. But what we can now do is we can create spaces for different teams, project tasks, for all the different use cases you just have seen mentioned by Sankadeep. So everyone could fit into, for example, one of those spaces. And within those spaces, as I have mentioned it here, we can have an overview once over the space itself. So what we have in here, you can have hierarchies and structures within that. So you can even have a nested folder structure. You can have boards consisting only of collaborative work management tasks. So these are like smaller, to be really open, these are smaller like projects that are usually not managed within ServiceNow SPM. So you have here a task management system with the possibility to go into a Kanban board. Currently, you would probably either have to create a project for that, which is a huge overhead because usually you have a process behind that to get projects created and everything set up. In here, you can directly say how I want to manage my project, which fields I would actually need. So, for example, if I want to have not only an assignment, but I want to have a number of people, I would be even able to narrow it down to users in the space or custom users, would be able to differentiate what I want to have a single or multi-select. And this can be administered by your own without an admin actually creating all these fields, all that information out of the box. You can have those different spaces. Within every space, when we navigate through that, you can have boards with tasks. I will come to that once again. Documents, like here, project documentation, you can create folders. You can share those with single people, with groups, with teams, whatever. Also here, this is totally up to you. There is no need in generating an assignment group so that you can then share that access to different people. When we go into task boards, and this is probably the backbone of such a team space, what you can see is it's very easy to connect this sort of space to other work items that are already present in ServiceNow. In this case, I brought with me an example where I have stories, defects, epics, and incidents linked to. That can be extended. I can also have change requests. I can have, I don't know, critical GRC tasks, HR tasks, whatsoever. It doesn't matter. I can literally add every table in ServiceNow, filter it based on the prerequisites I want to have, and then add it to my backlog. And this is also shifting the way how we actually work with those tasks. We're not looking at single backlogs in different Kanban boards. We're looking at one board, bringing together all the different work. You can even dynamically and easily change the layout of the list, add fields like the duration, and maybe here also just a small demonstration of how Now Assist could help you. So in this case, I'm going to tell Now Assist, hey, please generate me a formula to calculate the time difference between the start and end date so that I know the duration of the different tasks. So I can add that, set the formula. I can, of course, also manually do that. And then I have a calculation being done. And this one here is important because with every change in that view, I can save these views directly, and those views are then shared with the team I'm working on together on that board. So once again, you don't have to go through different boards. You have everything in one place. We have here classical, of course, a list where I can drag items up or down. We have a Gantt chart. This is important. As soon as items have a start and end date, they will be depicted and displayed accordingly. So also this is important if you want to really do like a dependency planning or a task planning more on a classical visualization. Currently, or without CWM, you would have to go to project management for project tasks. with CWM, you can directly have it even for user stories, for example. We, of course, also have access to Kanban boards. So if you or your teams are more into working in like these Kanban sort structures, we also have the possibility to use that. And with that, we also see that we have the possibility to see dependencies and relationships. Yeah, so you see what are prerequisites and what are dependent items. Yeah, so once again, by clicking on these elements, you don't have to go through each and every item, each and every card. You can also see that, hey, for this story, we have different Scrum tasks. For this story, for example, the generate performance reports, we don't have any tasks so far. I can go through the details, but then I want to let Now Assist generate the Scrum task for me based off the content of the user story. So also here, Now Assist integrated in CWM can directly help in taking away the burden of writing everything on my own, supporting and enabling the teams to actually focus on the work that should be done. Yeah, so that's also what Sankadeep mentioned, this empowerment and this possibility to actually not only take over the tasks and create the boards and manage the board, but also to effectively be supported by artificial intelligence is really something that stands out. Last but not least, we can also, of course, and this is still standalone, so we are not talking about any integration into, let's say, any other planning tool. It's really something where we enable the teams and empower the teams, irrespective of the task type that we're working on, that they can actually pull the work into the different sprints. I can also see what's the status, what is the capacity, how much has already been completed, what is the state of the different sprints. And as you can also see, it's irrespective where it's tasks from CWM itself. It can be stories, but it could also be epics or incidents. So whatever is work that has to be carried out by this team that is somehow linked to that board can be put into that sprint and can be planned and distributed accordingly. And as soon as I have a sprint planned, I can once again go back and also see that the Gantt chart is accordingly updated, because as I plan something in a sprint, it gets a start and end date, because that's naturally also the sprint duration, and can give me also an overview and an insight into the duration of the different tasks. So this is really how to empower teams individually. Once again, you can also do your full documentation in here. So in this case, I just drafted a generic project charter. Once again, also as Sankadeep mentioned, we can out of this project charter start generating tasks. For the complexity, as this is quite a big document, this could now take a few seconds. Yeah, but still, Now Assist is going through the document, showing whether we have in scope, out of scope, and what are the deliverables, and based on that, supporting and helping me in generating and drafting tasks for my CWM board, or effectively also user stories. We're not going to wait for the generation now. This is still all standalone CWM. When CWM is also playing a big role is when it comes to enabling agile teams that are integrated with enterprise agile planning. So in this case, for example, I have a team that in EAP, so as part of the strategic portfolio management suite, in EAP is actually planning or decided to plan their whole backlog and their whole work with CWM. So also this integration is natively possible. What you can see is that I have a list of all the stories that are assigned to the team, see also who it is assigned to. Once again, the team can now do a prioritization based on the priority within the team. Once again, I have access to the Gantt and Kanban, but not necessarily I need to go through that. And integrated into EAP, I'll show that in a second as well. You see here that I have my pre-planned sprints. So you see that I have the database team 1 sprint 1 and the database team 1 sprint 2. This is coming out of EAP. So you also see that I don't have the possibility to create a new sprint or change the cadence of the sprint. This is now really predefined. And by dragging and dropping, I can directly assign additional work to the team to really utilize the capacity at maximum. Yeah. Once again, I will also be able to add fields. I can change the layout so that the teams can actually use the full flexibility out of CWM directly integrated with Enterprise Agile Planning. So the work is actually brought through EAP to the teams, but the teams have the possibility to work on the items in a format they already know without having to switch back and forth. Still, from an overarching view, we have the possibility and the flexibility to still report and review what the teams are doing in CWM on an overview within Enterprise Agile Planning. So in here, I would see sprint progress, I would see how many stories are blocked and so on and so forth. So still from an Enterprise Agile viewpoint, I have here all the information for all the teams in one place. But from a single team perspective, we are still able to directly switch back and forth and enable the teams to work in a backlog that is not like bringing the full Enterprise Agile complexity into the single team, but keeping it simple with them, once again, being able to connect additional work items like incidents or whatever they would work on, which would not be possible in EAP itself. Yeah, so this is also one additional flexibility to enable cross-functional teams, especially if those teams are integrated in an Agile stream, but also have other work to do, which is very often the case. So even a pure Agile team usually has some other incidents, defects, or whatever to fix. And with CWM, they have an easy way of actually doing that without switching context so often. Yeah, and this is, I think, the big takeaway I would like you to get. CWM enables you not only to plan work that is usually done outside of ServiceNow, in Planner, in whatever tool you're currently using, in Excel very often. Yeah, all these lists that are flying around where somebody's putting some tasks in. So CWM is actually really good at doing that. And from a device perspective, we also use that internally to structure tasks that we have within the team that to collaborate. Yeah, so we really use this to actually work and collaborate on things as a team we would like to achieve without going into different tools. So it's all integrated into ServiceNow. But also CWM integrates the way of enterprise agility into the daily team's work. And from here, actually, a single user has an overview over everything they would like to have without the need to switch back and forth. And with that, I would also like to end the demo. Yeah, and we're very good in time, I have to say. And I also see that we already have quite some questions in the chat. And I would now stop sharing screen and would like to go back and start reading out the questions and then distribute them. So Sankadeep, I guess you might have already read through the one or the other. So maybe you want to already pick some of those. Meanwhile, I'm also going through the questions and start answering them. Sankadeep, anyone that you would like to already pick?
Yeah, I'm just going through that right now. Let's see.
Maybe one question I can immediately drop. So there was one question about how does CWM relate to SPM? Do we need both, or does one replace the other? That's a good one, I guess, to start with.
Yeah, so maybe I can begin with Manuel and you can, of course, add it. So the short answer is no, you do not need both. But I think if you really want to scale up quickly and if you want to really get the full capability that the whole solution provides, I would advise to use both SPM and CWM. However, how you get started, I think that is where you can basically break this up. For example, if you just want to say that, hey, like I want to give the complete flexibility to my teams, but yet still help them with the structure to manage all of their work, irrespective of how they want to do. Maybe they want to manage it using Kanban or using agile sprint planning. Then, yeah, of course, just get started with CWM. It's good enough. It actually, you also do not need to buy an SPM license to enable CWM, right? So that way, like it is also we make it quite easy for the teams to get started with. However, once you're at a certain level where you think that, hey, like now we want to tie these work to our strategic decisions, or we want the work to flow, or we want to scale our agile practices. For example, that's a connection to EAP. Or if you want to even connect visibility to your leadership, to all of your CWM boards, that is where you would need to both SPM and CWM to get the full breadth of all the capabilities that we enable. Manuel, anything that you may want to add?
No, I think that's exactly, and I, especially if you want to start with CWM, you don't necessarily need SPM. I think that's an important message. Yeah. But I think to really use the full power at some point in time with SPM functionality or with CWM, you will reach a limit in terms of managing complex projects and complex tasks. And this is where SPM comes quite handy. Still, you could then leverage the power of CWM to review tasks, distribute work between the team without needing to switch context. Absolutely. There is one question I would like to read out loud because I think it's a really interesting one. This is the one: is there a plan to add planning items to CWM as connected work in the future? So, for example, the Scrum Epic or planning item as a whole.
So I can answer one part of it. For example, the Scrum Epic, well, you do not need to integrate because behind the scene, it actually uses the same, let's say, the Epic table, not the align epic, but the actual epic. So that way, every epic, irrespective of where you create, whether it is in EAP or somewhere else, it will show up in CWM. I could not understand exactly what he means by the other planning item, because as long as they are project tasks or demand or any other, they will also show up in CWM as long as you use that connected work. But maybe, like if there is some additional thought behind this question, we can, of course, discuss it offline.
Yeah, and I'll otherwise pick it up later on. But I also think that it goes into direction. I mean, the planning items naturally consist of demands, projects, epics, whatsoever. So usually, I would also say that those are already part or be able to be used within CWM. So in case you want to integrate it as work task, you can already do that. And I think that's a good news in that regards already. One question that I would also like to share is there a possibility to collaborate with project members outside the organization, like a vendor or supplier? And I would try to answer that question out of experience. And Sankadeep, maybe you add something here. So, I mean, theoretically, or you would have to, of course, generate a user for that person to be able to access the CWM board. So you cannot give any external access to CWM. So this would need a ServiceNow activated user. But apart from that, as there is no restriction so you wouldn't need a specific, should I say, the user only would have access to the boards and information that is shared with that user. So you don't need a specific security mechanism or whatsoever, as the users would only see the boards that they are specifically shared with. And maybe that's a big change to the common project user or whatsoever, who is in general a little bit more open. Sankadeep, any further thoughts from your side?
No, absolutely. And I think this is a way to make sure that the external users are also accountable for the tasks which are assigned to them, because they get the visibility of everything that they are expected to deliver, the automations that we talk about in CWM, where, like sending out emails before any specific due date is met. That is a really great way, or some of the great ways to collaborate with these external users. So absolutely, the external users should be part of the CWM usage as well.
Absolutely. And maybe one question, and then we will probably also have to wrap it up already. So there was one question if CWM can completely replace Agile Development 2.0 already. From my perspective, I think we are getting closer and closer. And I think from what you see in Agile 2.0, from a sprint planning, so that the sprint board and also the possibility to link tasks and things like that, there is already a very, very good overlap between those two solutions. And naturally, I would say that, I don't know how you see it, Sankadeep, but we already have almost feature parity, right?
Yes, indeed. And in fact, let me put this in the chat. We have also published a migration guide for our customers. So this is literally coming from our CWM product managers. So I would highly recommend go through this migration guide to identify what is a good moment and how you can actually migrate this. But the feedback from a product management team is that we highly recommend customers to start moving to collaborative work management, because that's where the feature really is. It's brand new. It's full of new capabilities, and everything new that we create as part of our team Agile capabilities will be in CWM and not in Agile 2.0.
Very good. Yeah, maybe one more before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is a good one where I actually not really have an answer to. So how can CWM be used for user story maps? Sankadeep, any idea?
If you mean to use it for, or use our docs component, because that's essentially right. I mean, you can put in images and everything and columns or tables, or it's basically rich text format to create your user story maps. If that's what you mean, you can definitely use our docs component to do this. And the good thing is, once all the details are in the docs, you can actually create tasks from the docs, and those tasks can essentially be user stories as well.
Yeah, I hope that answers the question as well. Okay, super. Yeah, we still have a few more questions, so we will try to answer them after the webinar in written form, and also share that with you as an audience. As we are reaching the end of the webinar, thanks again, Volker, Sankadeep, for joining. Thanks, Sankadeep, for sharing your insights into product vision and where you're heading into. Yeah, we hope you liked the webinar and you got some important news on the product, and also got an idea how you could use it. And I would also once again ask the question, how could you use CWM in your daily business and daily world? And I would love to hear your answers to that, maybe in a follow-up meeting. Sankadeep, Volker.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Stay tuned for next webinars and have a good day. Talk to you soon, everyone.